direct.
From Salt Lake City, Utah's Channel 4, this is KTVX News with Dan Breinholt, Allison Hayrand, David Hefferly with weather, and Floss Wagner with sports.
Hello, I'm Allison Hayrand.
And I'm Dan Breinholt. A major tragedy in northern England today. At least 40 people are dead and hundreds injured in a fire that within minutes engulfed an 80-year-old wooden stadium in Bradford, England. Police suspect the fire was started by a fan playing with matches in the grandstand. And there was another disaster at a British soccer stadium today. More than 60 people were hurt when a wall collapsed on spectators at a game in Birmingham. Witnesses say the 12-foot structure caved in after rioting broke out at the game. Scores of riot-geared mounted police tried to separate hundreds of fans who ran onto the field. Also in England, the death toll from an outbreak of Legionnaires disease has risen to 34 tonight. That's the same number of people who died in Philadelphia when the disease was first identified 9 years ago. More than 150 people have been admitted into central England hospitals with symptoms of Legionnaires.
Last night, we told you about 2 Afghani youngsters who were flown to Salt Lake for treatment of wounds suffered in their ongoing war with the Soviet Union. Tonight, reporter Tom Dillon, who was with the boys at St. Mark's Hospital last night, takes a look at their injuries and their hopes for the future.
It took them 30 hours to get from Pakistan to Salt Lake City, but in reality, the journey has been much longer. Saitullah Khan was seriously wounded by a Russian mine a year and a half ago. His leg was in a cast for that entire time, before being removed last night. The right knee is fused, the ankle drops at a severe angle, and he has lost one of the major nerves in the leg. He is 19 years old. Hazrat Khan's lower body was crushed during a Soviet bombing of his village. His mother was killed in the same attack 8 months ago. His journey to Salt Lake City began on a donkey. The animal carried him for 7 days and 7 nights from his home province to Pakistan. Hazrat has a broken right hip and right knee, as well as serious damage to the left hip and knee. The 2 Afghani boys will be at St. Mark's Hospital in Salt Lake City for several months for treatment of their wounds. But of the 2, 8-year-old Hazrat Khan has by far the more serious problems. Hazrat is suffering from severe complications. His pediatrician says he has never seen blood chemistry so abnormal. Chemistries that would cause anyone else seizures and possibly death.
I doubt that he would have survived weeks had he not arrived here.
Hazrat also is suffering from malnutrition, infection in both legs, and morphine addiction, the only drug that was available in Afghanistan to ease his pain. Those problems must be corrected before treatment can begin on Hazrat's crippled legs.
Then our next goal will be to get his legs straightened out, get his knees straightened out better so that he can at least stand and walk with crutches.
The boys are happy to be in Salt Lake for treatment of their wounds, but not just because of the opportunity for healing, but because it will mean they can then return to Afghanistan to fight the Soviets.
We'll never let Russians succeed. We'll go back. My foot is okay. I'm going to go back there and I'm going to continue to fight.
The bomb has hurt me, but see, I'm going to be young and I want to go fight against the Soviet Union for the Russian soldiers.
For now, though, the fight will be waged in Salt Lake City, where St. Mark's Hospital and several doctors will aid in the battle to regain the 2 boys' health. Tom Dillon, KTVX 4 News.
The University of Utah's Health Sciences Center has let 2 more heart transplant patients go home. The release of the unidentified patients comes on the heels of 16-year-old Tony Shepard's release last month. Shepard was the first to undergo heart transplant surgery at the university. Dan?
Well, ground was broken in St. George today for a $700,000 cancer treatment and screening center. The facility is designed to help victims of above-ground nuclear weapons testing in the 1950s and early 1960s. The center, which will be run by Intermountain Healthcare, will treat fallout patients from Utah, Arizona, and Nevada. Gary Dawson's bid for clemency may have suffered a setback today. In the 3rd day of testimony in Chicago at a special hearing to review the Dawson case, Kathleen Kroll-Webb's teenage boyfriend said he could not recall being with Webb any later than a week before the night of the alleged rape. Webb now says she falsely accused Dawson of the rape because she feared she was pregnant. The testimony of the former boyfriend, David Byrne, who now lives in Utah, came as a surprise and may be a very damaging to Dawson's case. But Dawson's mother today questioned what possible motive Webb could have for lying now.
Like she's come forward, I can't, in my mind, see any reason other than what she's saying is true. I just know my son is innocent.
Illinois Governor Thompson's may choose to commute Dawson's sentence to time served instead of granting him a pardon. Allison?
More than 24 twisters have hit parts of Nebraska and Kansas, demolishing buildings and injuring at least 7 people. The hardest hit area was Utica, Nebraska, where a tornado moved through the city's center, leveling a number of businesses and a bank. Nasty weather in the Midwest there.
Much nicer this afternoon, though.
Was it? It finally cleared out.
Finally cleared out. Didn't you get a chance to get outside at all?
Oh, here you mean?
Here.
Oh, I
Here,
thought you were
beautiful.
telling me it cleared in the Midwest, too.
No, it's here. That was
yeah, about the time
nicer.
I came to work was probably when it cleared up, right?
That's the most ideal time, whenever you don't have a chance to enjoy it. But it was a lot cooler, though, outside, right around in the upper 50s and lower 60s. Let's take a look at some of those temperatures. Salt Lake City had a high of only 60 degrees today, and the airport picked up 0.2 of an inch of rain. But Ogden reported a lot more at 64 hundredths of an inch. Provo was 60 degrees and almost had a ½ inch of rain as well. Now down south, they had some rain too, but just a little more than a trace. Cedar City hit 62 degrees, while St. George was a warm 79. Now out of state, Ely hit 56, while Pocatello was cooler at 53 degrees. Now taking a look at some of our temperatures across the nation, it was unusually warm up here in the New England states, where they had record highs breaking over the 90-degree area. 80s extended all the way up into Minnesota, with much cooler temperatures out over the west. The hot spot in the country today was Presidio, Texas, with 101 degrees. Now, taking a look at our satellite, that cold front moved across the plains, bringing them showers, thunderstorms, and tornadoes, like Allison just mentioned, with some very severe thunderstorms down here over Dallas and Fort Worth. Now, that system that we just had yesterday is now moved over Colorado. Tonight now, all these clouds we're seeing right now over Nevada will be moving our way. We have a slight chance of some showers for this evening, but come Monday, we have clear skies coming our way, and that'll be the nice part about it. Tomorrow, now, taking a look at our national forecast, thunderstorms will continue out over the Midwest with some showers down south. The Pacific Northwest, though, will still be cloudy, and those clouds will probably be coming our way somewhere around Tuesday. Tomorrow, our regional forecast calls for partly cloudy skies throughout the whole region. Cooler up in the north with nice 65. Still a little cool, though. Tonight, mostly cloudy. Salt Lake City should be getting down right around 43 degrees. Tomorrow, it's going to be partly cloudy, reaching just at 64 degrees. Now, taking a look at our 5-day forecast, it's going to be partly cloudy tomorrow. Monday, like we mentioned, it's going to be sunny and getting close to 70 degrees. Tuesday, it's going to be cloudy but warmer. Look at that, 76 degrees. Wednesday and Thursday, it's going to be mostly fair, with some very nice temperatures right around there in the upper 70s. Allison.
So tomorrow, a little bit chilly for a Mother's Day picnic.
Still, yeah, I wouldn't suggest you go out, but it'll still be nice.
Thanks, David. Utah state parks may get some major sprucing up if the legislature can be convinced to fund the project. The State Parks and Recreation Board says the parks need the renovation to host more than 50 million visitors over the next 5 years. But the work would cost between $10 and $15 million. The board has authorized park officials to draw up a blueprint detailing work that needs to be done. Visitors will once again be able to get to Antelope Island this summer. For the past 2 years, it was impossible because the Great Salt Lake swamped the access road. But now the State Parks and Recreation Board has approved ferry boat service to the island, set to begin June 1st. Western Expeditions, who will provide the ferry, is also considering offering all-day van tours of the island. While fewer Utahns are signing up for welfare, we'll tell you why.
And several Provo residents are up in arms about missing mail. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're Alone, Saturday at 11:05 and repeated Sunday at 10:35.
For over 100 years, the great American home of Buffalo Bill Cody has survived some of America's worst weather. The paint that protects this historic home, the Weather Beater from Sears. A paint so tough, so durable, it's become America's best seller. Sears Weather Beater for great American homes like yours.
There's more for your life at Sears. Catch the rays, feel the heat, breeze on out to the summer beach. Turn it loose with the silver bullet. All you have to do
beer.
I remember when I could barely do 6 sit-ups. Today, I'm teaching aerobics. Now that's a change for the better. I used to buy separate detergent and fabric softener. Today, Bowl 3 detergent plus fabric softener is all I buy. I know, 1 product instead of 2. Look, Bowl 3 got a towel like this, really clean, really soft. And I'm not stuck with static here or here. Bowl 3 leaves everything in great shape.
A change for the better. Bold 3.
Some Provo residents are up in arms tonight about not getting their mail delivered. They say the post office is illegally holding it because of a mail theft problem in the area where they live. Kim Alsop has the story.
For the past 5 or 6 years, some residents of this trailer park have been getting their Social Security and welfare checks, food stamps, and other mail stolen. On May 8th, the Provo post office sent notices warning them that unless they lock up their rural-type boxes, they'll have to go to this post office annex in South Provo to get their mail. Right now, only a few have padlocks, and some who don't say they have no means of transportation to go pick up their mail. But even if all the mailboxes were locked, one resident says the problem still wouldn't be completely solved.
By putting locks on our boxes out here, half of our mail will have to still go back to the annex. These people still cannot pick up our mail, so this does not solve the problem.
Post office officials say, however, there is a solution.
We want to sign a release absolving us from any responsibility for it. We'll put it in the big rural box, and they can pick it up out of there, or we'll leave a notice and return it to the post office, and they'll bring the notice down and pick up anything that won't fit in their slot.
Metzger is opposed to signing such a release. He says his mail deserves equal protection. He says moving all the mailboxes to a safer, more visible location within the trailer court would solve the theft problem. Kim Alsop, KTVX 4 News.
An effort by the state to get Utahns off the welfare rolls appears to be working. State officials say there were more than 11,500 welfare clients as of May 1st, but nearly 7,000 were working towards financial independence. More than 2,200 others work at least part-time. Overall, the welfare caseload has dropped by 546 cases during the past year.
Over $2.5 million in sales commissions have been ordered returned. The commissions were paid for independent and universal clearinghouse business. Many of the 62 salesmen ordered to return the commissions are from the Salt Lake area. Federal charges have been filed against 12 clearinghouse principals accused of bilking some 3,800 investors in 38 states out of $15.6 million. The banking crisis in Ohio early this year is being blamed for a run on deposits of Maryland's second-largest privately insured savings and loan. The run began after reports of a management shakeup at Old Court Savings and Loan, and subsequent revelations that the state attorney general may investigate the company. Old Court officials say their problems are unrelated to the company's solvency, and they say customers are just hurting themselves. Coming up, an unwelcome greeting for the Pope.
And a Salt Lake motel went up in flames today, intentionally.
At Rapid Grow, we get letters reporting some amazing results. Cliff Beckett of Ohio got 231 tomatoes from one plant. Another user got pumpkins over 200 pounds. You might not match that, but gardens like this prove Rapid Grow works. Just mix and spray to get luscious plants. Rapid Grow. What it's named is what it does.
My girls like to fish as much as I do, especially when we take along plenty of Clover Club potato chips. You know, growing up in the West taught me to love the outdoors. Our families have grown up with Clover Club, and their chips taste as good today as they did when we were kids. Maybe it's because Clover Club is still small enough to remember the big things, like quality.
Now, look for new Clover Club tortilla chips and Pocatino chips.
Hardee's gives you 3 whole strips of crunchy bacon. Come for Hardee's combo deal, a sizzling, crunchy, tasty meal. A Hardee's bacon cheeseburger with 3 whole strips of crunchy bacon, hot French fries, and coleslaw. Drink the baconist.
Hardee's Bacon Cheeseburger Combo with more bacon than Wendy's or Burger King. Regular fries and a medium Coke. It's all just $1.99.
Hardee's bacon cheeseburger with 3 whole strips of crunchy bacon, hot French fries, and coleslaw. Drink just $1.99. Hardee's.
Now that Sandia Federal has acquired the personnel, offices, and deposits of State Savings and Loan, that means exciting changes for you. Because with Sandia comes strength, service, and stability. Our unique savings, checking and lending, competitive interest rates, plus interstate banking with offices in New Mexico. With over $732 million in assets, Sandia is the second largest savings and loan with offices in Utah. No wonder people call us the mountain. Sandia Federal. Come to the mountain.
Pope John Paul arrived in the Netherlands today, but the welcoming crowds were small. The Pope's visit is a controversial one, as many Dutch Catholics oppose the Pope's conservative views on birth control, divorce, and priestly celibacy. A popular song ridiculing the Pope has been at the top of the Dutch hit parade for several weeks now, and in Amsterdam, about 150 people costumed as nuns and monks hung and burned the Pope's effigy. And in West Germany today, nearly 5,000 people marched in a peaceful anti-Nazi demonstration. But in Nesselwang, near police in riot gear, fought in the streets with about 300 protesters in front of a hotel where former SS troops are holding a reunion. Police fired water cannon and tear gas to drive back the rioters who screamed, "Nazis out."
Secretary of State George Shultz is in Israel tonight as part of a Middle East tour. He's been charged with the difficult task of trying to get peace talks in the Middle East started again. One major question is who will represent the Palestinians. Israel says they will not negotiate with the PLO, and tonight the government of Jordan says the PLO has drawn up a list of possible delegates to the peace talks. But they stress the PLO wants to negotiate with Washington, not Israel. While the space shuttle program builds up momentum, two companies are busy designing NASA's next big space venture, a space station. The station will be built in pieces, hauled into orbit by the shuttle fleet, and put together in space. The space station would serve as a military base, a service station to repair broken satellites, and a factory to manufacture materials which cannot be made in the presence of gravity.
A motel fire today on State Street was, without question, deliberately set. However, firefighters say they are not investigating arson. The reason, the firefighters were the ones who set the blaze. And as Mike Watkins reports, it was all part of a very realistic training session.
When is a fire not really a fire? And when do firemen get to mix a little pleasure with a little business?
It's a combined training session and demolition of the building. This area has been, project's been set aside for a redevelopment area. And so we've been using this building quite immensely this last month and a half for different training exercises.
The building is an old motel on State Street near 29th South. Soon the whole area will be turned into a new apartment complex. But not before firefighters with the South Salt Lake Fire Department bone up on a few new skills.
We'd rather train out on something like this where we can control the situation. And when you get on a real fire, you can't train. You've got to go right to work.
But that's only with a real fire. With today's training session, there was at least enough time for some firefighters to sit back and take a few notes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it looked like this was a little more than just work. It looked like some of these guys were having a good time.
Well, they always do. You got to mix a little bit of fun with the work to make it enjoyable, but they get a lot of training out of it, too.
And for those of you keeping score at home, chalk this one up for the firefighters. Mike Watkins, KTVX 4 News.
Well, the Nuggets got a taste of their own medicine in L.A. today.
And BYU comes up short in WAC gold. Kloss is up next with sports.
Vegetables are picked and packed the same day to seal in nutrition in regular or with no salt added, no artificial additives or preservatives. Del Monte Vegetables, nutrition that works.
You think you've got lawn weeds? Well, join the club. There you are, clover, plantain, dandelion, you name it, all the major ones. At Ortho, we grow them to learn how to kill them. Weed Be Gone does the job. It kills these weeds, roots and all.
Look, you'll never meet all these weeds in your lawn. But you'll be ready for the ones you do.
When it comes to weed control, it's easy with Ortho.
Any real estate company can sell you a house and say that the wiring's in perfect condition and say the plumbing won't leak and the the central heating and cooling systems ought to last. One real estate company offers the buyer protection plan that helps protect you from costly repairs. ERA. There is a difference in real estate companies. ERA Real Estate, a part of the Commercial Credit Financial Network.
Roy! There's some little guys out there digging up your prize mushrooms.
Pearl, what are you talking about?
All them little guys out there are digging up your mushroom garden.
Pearl, you been sipping?
No, Ron, come on, look.
I don't see no little guys.
No, and you don't see your prize mushrooms neither.
I'll be darned.
Try some of Roy's prize mushrooms on your mushroom bounty cheese, new at Arctic Circle. Do it now.
Thank you, Roy.
I guess the question now is, can L.A. beat Boston?
Well, Boston's got to get by Philadelphia first. That's going to be a tough series.
Yeah, that's right.
I hate to see blowouts like that today, don't you? I mean, it's more exciting when it's a close.
It wasn't very fun watching that game.
It certainly wasn't. Well, at least now the Nuggets and their fans know how the Jazz and the Jazz fans felt last week when Denver on a couple of occasions jumped out to 24 and 30-point leads. Now, the only difference today was the Nuggets, unlike the Jazz, could not make up the deficit, which at one time reached 34 points. Lakers all over Denver in the opener. They jumped out 11-0 and kept rolling. Here's a nice alley-oop from Magic to Byron Scott. Lakers led by 18 at this point. Worthy topped the Laker Nets for 24, two of those coming on this jam. And here's Byron again. He led all scorers with 27 as they jumped out by 28 at the half. When the big guy drops this one here inside, L.A. had a 30-point lead. And from there, they just absolutely just coasted, really, to the wire. Denver's two big guns, English and Nat here. Calvin's turned around and scored, pulled the Nuggets within 29. Alex led Denver with 30. Great move right there down the middle with a one-hander swish. While Riley cleaned the bench, Mo also got everybody in. There's Shays for 2 of his 9, and McAdoo came off the pine to add 10 points to the Laker board, and Kupchak also added 6. L.A. coasted to a 139-122 final in game number 1. Just one of those blowouts, and Mo said, I don't care if we lost by 60. It doesn't matter. It's only one game in the loss column. That's what it is. Game 2 will be Tuesday at Los Angeles. Meanwhile, the Eastern Conference Finals kicks off tomorrow at Boston when the 76ers take on the Celtics. Tip-off of that one is 11 o'clock Mountain Daylight Time. Well, John McEnroe will try for his 3rd straight Tournament of Champions title tomorrow when he meets Yvonne Lendl in the finals at the Westside Tennis Club in New York City. McEnroe began this one playing as well as he ever has. Serve was on. He dictated the tempo, and he was extremely accurate on his volleys. Here he finally puts a winner away on the overhead smash as he won the first set 6-2. But in the second set, Mac seemed to lose his concentration as well as his serve. Well, Sundstrom had met Mac only once before and won. Here he puts the forehand away as he won the second set 6-3. But in the third set, Mac seemed to really raise his game back up to where it was. He broke in the fourth, again in the last to win it 6-2, 3-6, and 6-2. And he will meet Lendl tomorrow, who knocked out Krickstein 6-1, 2-6, and 6-1. The Mets win and lose. Now I'll explain that when we come back with baseball highlights and more right after this break.
On Danny Frank's vacation, he and his family explored an African jungle, encountered savage pirates, and took a spaceship to another galaxy. They saw an electrical parade and fireworks and a mouse named Mickey. But when the Franks went to Disneyland, they brought home more than wonderful memories. They won a new GM car. So could you. Come to Disneyland's 30th year celebration, where the best has just begun.
Now, only Duncan Hines packs real chocolate chunks in their new moist, delicious brownies.
Most kids can't help but help themselves to our moist, delicious brownies, Duncan Hines. No way they can help but help themselves to our moist, delicious brownies, Duncan Hines.
Of the leading mixes, only new Duncan Hines smoother, creamier batter has real chocolate chunks for a moist, delicious brownie.
It's our most delicious way to bake your best.
You love that.
Duncan Hines.
MaxiCare thinks it's time to cut the aggravation out of group health insurance. So we cut out claim forms. Then we cut out annual deductibles. MaxiCare cuts the cost of preventive care, too. Routine exams and well child care are just $5. And if you do get sick, MaxiCare pays 100% of eligible hospital costs. MaxiCare provides maximum medical care, not paperwork. Ask your employer about MaxiCare, the new generation in healthcare.
The Mets got another shutout today as they blanked the Phils 4-0, but they may have lost outfielder Darryl Strawberry, possibly for over a month. Here in the third inning, Juan Samuel, we'll get that right. Anyway, that's Juan. He got a shot on to right. Strawberry right there, as you see, caught it. Caught the ball, but he got his right hand caught underneath his body, injuring his right thumb. He had to leave the game in the next inning, and x-rays later at the hospital detected torn ligaments. There you see it again in slow motion. They'll determine that in the next day if he needs surgery. If he does, then he'll be in a cast for 4 weeks and then 2 more weeks of therapy. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles today, the Dodgers and Bucks went to the 12th when catcher Tony Pena, with 2 men on, took Tom Brennan downtown and left over the 360 mark as the Bucks pulled out a 5-2 win. Dan Breinholt is crying over his Dodgers loss. This shot was Pena's second homer of the year. Let's go to the scoreboard in the National League. There you see that Mets win over the Phils, the Bucks over the Dodgers. Montreal blanks Atlanta. St. Louis gets by San Francisco. Houston tonight beats Cincinnati by 3 runs. In the 7th inning, the Cubs and Padres are tied 1-1. Over in the American League this afternoon, the White Sox took one from Detroit 7-4. Toronto doubled Seattle's score 4-2. Oakland shelled the Red Sox 12-1. New York over Kansas City. Now, how about this? Freddie Lynn, for the second consecutive game, hit a home run in the bottom of the 9th inning. This one tonight with 2 men on to beat the Twins. The O's beat them 4-2. Let's hear it for the O's. In California, by 1 run over the Brewers, 6-5. Cleveland takes Texas 4-1. Well, in golf, Mac O'Grady still leads the pack of the Byron Nelson Classic, but he is still keeping silent, no interviews. Unfortunately, they had an almost 2-hour rain delay today, so when the network coverage did hit the 3rd round, O'Grady had just started, so we really never got to see him. But we did see Payne Stewart. He was right on his heels. Here he dropped a bird on 12 to go 7 under, 2 at that point behind O'Grady and Stadler. Kite took a bogey on 13 here to drop back to 3 under par. And Stewart dropped to 9 under there. You just saw that birdie with a 16. But he, at that point, it trailed O'Grady only by 1 shot. Let's go to the scoreboard. We'll see that O'Grady ended up with a 2 under 69 despite Stewart's 5 under 66. He is 3 shots behind, though, now heading into tomorrow's final round. Another shot backer, Ferguson Eastwood, and Craig Stadler with a 2 under 69 is 5 off the pace. Now, at the WAC Golf Tournament in Cheyenne, Wyoming today, the final round, you believe this, over 60-mile-an-hour winds and rain, and nobody got anything together. The best score that BYU could put together was an 87. UTEP and New Mexico tied at 921. UTEP won the first hole playoff. BYU ends up 3rd. Utah all the way down in 7th place. Judd McGlone of Air Force was medalist honors winner. 6 shots over Brent Franklin of BYU, who finished 2nd. And congratulations to BYU's track and field team. They won the WAC tournament. Ice Stone came up a winner again today in the 5,000. And just missed in the 1,500s, and they won the championship.
Took home the gold. Huh?
Took home the gold. The WAC gold.
Thanks, Russ. And we'll be right back in just a moment.
Well, the big boy election results are in, and Big Boy will stay. Is Big Boy on the road to success?
Is he gonna paint the town red? This is a big relief.
I was behind you all the way. Big Boy, he's here to stay. And to celebrate, a Big Boy burger and fries are this low price.
I went to college. I know how to do the laundry.
Sure, your girlfriends did your laundry.
How did you know?
I was your girlfriend.
That was you?
So do the laundry.
Okay, it's simple. Everything goes in warm.
Beep. Not that simple.
Beep? What is this, a quiz show?
Now look, warm is good for a lot of stuff, but white socks, yuck, go in hot or they won't get clean.
Okay, white's in hot.
Beep.
What, it's white. It's got chocolate on it.
My warm-up jacket. You'll ruin it unless it goes in cold.
Okay, cold, warm, hot, 3 temperatures.
Check.
3 detergents?
Don't panic.
All temperature cheer.
Read the box. You took reading in college, right?
Cold, warm, hot. Chocolate in cold.
Trust me, college man. Cheer works in all temperatures.
Okay. Hey, great. White socks, the chocolate, everything is clean. I did it.
Cheer did it.
Now I know everything.
Beep, 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 beep.
3 temperatures, 1 great clean. That's today's all-temperature cheer.
From now on, there's a better way to glue. The Thermogrip brand hot glue gun is perfect for easy repairs because it sets in 60 seconds. Thermogrip bonds to almost anything without clamping or mixing. Thermogrip creates beautiful crafts because its unique trigger controls the amount of glue. Thermogrip even caulks windows and tile, all without any odor or mess. The Thermogrip hot glue system from Emhart. The future of gluing is here today. Thermogrip.
The man who brought Detective Dick Tracy to life on the funny pages has died. Cartoonist Chester Gould, who created the comic strip back in 1931, died at his Woodstock, Illinois home early today. Dick Tracy was the first comic strip to depart from the funnies approach. Gould said several years ago that if the police couldn't catch the gangsters, I'd create a fellow who could.
And this final note tonight, Governor Norm Bangerter declared today Asian American Heritage Day. The celebration at the Salt Palace included entertainment, crafts, and last but certainly not least, food from 9 different cultures. And you didn't have to be Asian to enjoy. The festival not only highlighted the unique heritage of the Asian people, it benefited the disadvantaged in the Asian communities. Looks good.
Look mighty good. Well, that is our news for tonight. We'll all be back tomorrow night at 10. Till then, have a good evening.
Good night.